I'm going to be talking about back-end flashing using MHD, your DME or your ECU, with a JB4. When you are thinking about doing a flash, so a full back-end flash with a FEMTO unlock takes about half an hour. So when you're doing a full back-end flash, we've had the ECU unlocked by FEMTO, it can take about half an hour. So what you need to do is you need to have a decent, say 60 amp power supply running your batteries, or attach jump leads from your car to another vehicle and start it, okay? Because a full DME back-end flash takes up to half an hour and it draws a lot of power, and if that power fails during the flash, you can cook your ECU, your DME, whatever you want to label it. So what JB4 allows you to do is, if you've got a JB4 like I have, already bought it, and you then have it unlocked by FEMTO, you can do something called a back-end flash. So when you do this with MHD, you don't need to have the super license, you just need to have the base app. So you need to buy basically the minimum package. So then what you want to do is you still want to run some kind of power, so it only takes 30 seconds to flash when you've got a JB4 front end and MHD back end. So I've got a little Noco 2 amp, one that you're wiring, trickle charger, so that, because it's only going to be a 30-second flash, is more than enough, because it's not going to be drawing loads of battery power from the battery. So what I've done is ran that system, it's already plumbed in. So I use this in winter to trickle charge the car when I've got it under the cover, because I only tend to use this car in the summer. So and make sure that your battery is running, very, very important. Now with your car, there's a couple of things you want to do. You want to make sure you've got nothing running, so your aircon, you haven't got Wi-Fi enabled. You want to minimise everything that is power, okay, to minimise the chance of the car pulling more power and the DME failing. So what we've got to do is, let's start inside the car. So because I've got JB4, I need to unplug. Okay. Jesus. And then what I'm using is the genuine, I prefer just to be safe on the safe side, the genuine MHD universal adapter. So then what I'm going to do is take this out the box. Sorry, this camera might be pointing completely at the ceiling or somewhere crazy. Should really maybe take this out the box before doing it. Ta-da! So there we go. So then what we want to do is, with the car with everything off, I'm going to plug that in. So this goes in here. Again, probably difficult to show you. Once it's in, you should get an orange light. Can you see that there? So orange flashing lights, that means it's connected in the car. You want to make sure your lights are off. So what you're going to do is turn the car to first ignition, and then what you're going to want to do is make sure that nothing's on. So auto lights, I'm going to turn them off. I don't want the interior light on, so I'm going to activate the door jamb so it thinks the door's shut. Stick it into airplane mode. And then it should say one called MHD, so whatever your MHD is called. So what you want to do is connect to your MHD. Connected without Ethernet, so that's fine. So what you do then is you want to go to your MHD, which is there. So what I want to do is retry that connection. So flash back and map, select your map, and now it should connect. There we go. So look, so what you do is you got your ability to write the map as it is, but you've also got other options. So you want to allow map switch. You want to make sure that CAN bus ECA preset set to none. General, so if you've got downpipe, select downpipe. If you want to remove your soft limiter, so it will go as fast as you want, as the car's willing to go. And you can things like increase torque. You can also do things like change overrun braps. This is when it makes pops and bangs. When it's got an exhaust burble, jeez, I can't speak today, or whether you want OEM or short. And then you can choose the duration, how long it lasts. So duration base and duration in sport. So base is when it's in comfort, how much it barbles, how long it lasts for, and the duration in sport. So half seconds default aggressiveness OEM style, and it has some default RPMs that you get the aggressiveness from. So minimum is 3,800, so you can just play around with these. Cold start noise reduction, that reduces that awful noise that you have when, especially when you've got a big exhaust system, APF deletes, downpipe. Cold noise is awful. This car sounds like an absolute sledgehammer, so by enabling that, it massively reduces that. And you can have the flap so it's always open in sport mode. You can have the startup roar, OPF delete, so if you put if you delete your OPFs, you can kind of map that out. Then you need to check what you're going to install. So have you got the high pressure fuel pump? Well, mine's the TU1, so it has, and some other bits and pieces. So once you've chosen your selected maps that you want to run, so that all you do is you hit back, it's remembered it, and then you hit write map. So I don't want to rewrite my map, because I don't already see write map. It'll connect to the DME, and 30 seconds later it'll have mapped onto the car, and it'll say complete, and then the pops and bangs and whatever you've changed it to, it'll instantly apply. So I'll show you a video interlinked to this to show you that before and after I went through this process. You know, the settings I've used are kind of default ones, and you can up that, you can change that. I don't really like it sound like gunshots. I just like that subtle, you know, burble, and when you're coming off pedal and things like that. So there's bangs and pops and the cold start. All those features in here will activate immediately as soon as it's flashed. The rest of the map will take a little bit of time, where what it'll do is it'll just take time to learn on the back end. Nice. All you need to know, like I say, make sure minimum things of drawing power, set the options for exhaust burbles, whatever you want it to do, and then you can then write the map. So I've put the pump one on, I've sent the logs off at Berger, I've asked him to look over it and see if we can possibly up it to the race version, which will obviously up the fueling, it will also up the amount of boost, change the timing. So yeah, between the two you can get a nice balance of tuning with the additional fail safes you get from having the piggyback JB4. So hopefully that was of use to show you how you go through the process, what you do and don't need to buy from MHD, and yeah, just if you want to do it, do it. You need the FEMTO unlock if you've got a 2021, I think September 2021 model onwards, and then you can play around and you can really tune your car and get the most from it. Right, thanks for watching my video.